It absolutely is possible. Of course, I'm gonna knock on this wood here, but if there was ever an opportunity, if in success or if audiences wanted it, yeah, I would love to make another.
Hi, Zach. How are you?
Hi, Greta. Good.
Zach, the zombie genre is very interesting for so many reasons. And one of them is that, in a certain way, if a character kills a zombie, it's like a relief because a zombie can be terrifying, but it's also like very sad. But in Army of the Dead is confusing because we can see these alpha zombies with conscious and emotions. So they are another kind of living dead, but they are more alive than dead. So how you came up with the idea of these evolved zombies with certain human connection and the possibility for the audience to feel empathy?
Yeah, that was like really the thesis for me was this. Well, first of all, I think the main sort of challenge that I put on myself was like, is there a way that, because I always felt like in the best like horror movies or monster movies, if you can feel sympathy for the monster, that's amazing. And I knew that zombies is really difficult because they're kind of like, nothing happening. And so it's hard to like say, gosh, I wish you can imagine that in my movie, there could be people be like, I'm team Zeus, I'm team Alpha. I want the Alphas to win. You can imagine that those people are going to be out there. But I knew it would be challenging. But also, so then we started to I sort of looked at them like, I was like, what if the zombies sort of had the consciousness of like wolves or like, or like a hunting pack of animals, where that like when they're together, they're like nuzzling each other and stuff. But if you were there with a pack of wolves, you can't really reason with them. You can't go like, look, guys, let's not do this. They'll just take you. And that's kind of how I sort of looked at the alphas, and then it evolved from there as well. But I really wanted to make it so that they don't only threaten us with their physicality, but there's two things that can happen. They also represent, from some point of view, maybe an evolution of the human race itself, and that, maybe the really scary thing is that maybe they're better than us, is the really scary thing.
I love it. I mean, I just think, it makes it that much more interesting. I also think it makes it less predictable. I think it makes it more challenging. I love everything about the alpha zombies. I think, I think that's one thing. And I also, I think that made just kind of the story overall more interesting because, I mean, if you really think about it, there's some gory moments, but they're definitely not the focus of the film. They're definitely not the focus of the zombies. They're not, overly gratuitous and, the flesh-eating, zombies. And I think they're, I think they're more interesting. And I think there's much more suspense when there's a challenge for your heroes. You want your heroes to overcome because they know they've got to overcome this. And your typical, zombie that's walking around, mindless and slow and thoughtless. I mean, they're not that big of a challenge, but when you have alpha zombies who are almost like superheroes, then now the threat is on. And I think that it adds a whole new layer of interesting. But they're also, you're right. There's a different dynamic there because there's zombies with emotions. There's emotions involved. So you are somewhat, empathetic with them. But at the same time, you really get wrapped up. And this is why your heroes have to be that much more of heroes. You have to want to root for them because you're understanding that, there are still emotions involved, and these are not your typical zombies. They think and they feel. So there is very much a human factor to them. But at the same time, they're the bad guys. So you got all those things to play with. I'm sure that there's going to be some people who are going to be rooting for these zombies. It's not too late to go back.
If you're gonna play the game, you gotta learn to play it right.
Zach, do you think the humans in this movie, Scott, Maria, Bandit, or Lily, at least at the beginning of the film, they act and are more like zombies than the zombies themselves. You know, they hate their lives. They have done a lot of things that later regret, and they don't.
No. I feel like they've gone. Yeah, they go like this. They're most alive when they're fighting the zombies, and when they're away from the zombies, they're most like zombies. That's kind of the arc that when they're involved with the zombies, their humanity comes out, and when they're away from the zombies, they become zombies.
I think that's a very interesting way to see it, and I think you're right. I think no one is happy with what's going on with their lives, and I think they are so. In my character, they were so proud about what they were doing before as a team, especially with Scott and Omari's character, Vanderhoek. So we were like this team who were doing great things together, and then it's kind of like, you know, after that, nothing's really exciting in our life, and that's what we love to do. So yeah, definitely we're kind of like zombies, not happy with our lives, and then we become alive after we have this opportunity to kind of like try to save the world again or something.
I think you said it best in your question of, and stating, of course, within your question, that they start out a lot like zombies. They are a motley crew of sorts, some of whom might have similar skill set and some don't. You know, you find out very early that Dave Bautista's character, my character, Anna's character, we've been down this road before. We're sort of an amalgamation of one skill set, to your point. And then, of course, you get the recruitment of Raul's character, who brings in his own team, obviously, in their world. And then you get the recruitment of none other than Matthias's iconic, soon-to-be legendary character. When getting that call to come and activate his skills, which are of a very exclusive, you know, differing level than the rest of the team, so to speak, you know, I am in charge of him. All of a sudden, there's this new skill set that I'm asked to impart that I hadn't had to go into my toolbox and impart before, and that is babysitting. I don't remember Vanderhoek in the first rendition of the fighting having to babysit, and all of a sudden, you know, Dave Bautista's character, of course, has summoned me to babysit dear Matthias's character. And in doing so, I learned that we have a lot in common. Like you said, all of these characters, they share one common goal, which is to sacrifice for the greater good, big team, little I. And Dieter shows himself to be the most sacrificial for Vanderhoek, and Vanderhoek the most sacrificial for Dieter. So these two become sort of a subset, a movie within a movie. And we definitely enjoyed this turn of becoming, you know, I don't know, the two stooges is what we actually became, and found love amongst each other, and definitely were diehard, trying to make sure that each other survived throughout the whole journey.
They're not what you think they are. They're smarter. They're faster. They're organized.
The Army of the Dead has a very diverse cast, and Scott himself is very diverse. He's rough, he's vulnerable, he's a highly skilled military man, and he also knows how to cook a hamburger. So he, for me, is the perfect anti-hero. And at the beginning of the film, he's more like a zombie, but in the middle of this chaos and apocalypse, he found again what makes him human. So he's a great character. So what do you think about that?
Well, I love it. I think that's, you know, that's what drew me to this film. I wasn't, you know, initially when I first heard about the project, I really wasn't all that interested. And I think it's really because I wasn't really looking for an action film. I was looking for acting pieces. And I was also very focused on another project that Zack had. But after reading the script, I saw all those things that you just mentioned, and I became much more interested. And then when I actually had the conversation with Zack about Scott, I was, you know, all in. But I think, yeah, well, I mean, everything that you just mentioned were exactly why I wanted to be a part of this, and to work with Zack as well. But I just didn't want to play a guy who's just like your typical predictable action guy. I want to play a guy with, you know, some depth, and, you know, who did some things that weren't predictable. And I think, you know, at the heart of Scott, he's really a simple person that's kind of been, you know, he's been forced in this position, you know, to be, you know, a heroic type. And I don't think he even really knew how to deal with it, which I think is why, you know, part of him really shut down his family, because he felt like he was obligated to, you know, help people and try to look at the bigger picture, but he really, you know, ended up neglecting his family in turn. So it really is, it's very much a redemption story for Scott Ward. So yeah, I mean, I love that about him, and I love playing the character. I wish there was opportunities to play him again and just dive deeper into it, because I think he's a really interesting, you know, like you said, anti-hero.
As Vegas was walled off, the zombies left the sun.
Mr. Ward, how would you like to make $50 million?
Army of the Dead is bigger than the heart of this story. That is Scott trying to mend his relationship with his daughter. And I say it's bigger because in the middle of a zombie invasion, that it's very entertaining and it's very exciting and it's very funny. This movie talks about a lot of concepts like refugees and immigration, or how a disease can be used as a tool for political purposes. So that's very interesting, for example, with the diversity of the cast also. So what do you think about this Army of the Dead phase with these important things?
Yeah, well, another great question. Kind of floored me a bit. I agree with you. I think that it's smart because it includes so many sort of current themes, you know, and politics. And I was just about to say, you know, Kate's motivation for joining is different from the gang. You know, she's slightly separate. She's working in these camps, and she's trying to help people, you know, build their lives. And I mean, at the time as well, it was incredibly political, given, you know, the detainment centers separating children from parents, and just, you know, being around that, and especially around the quarantine stuff, because this was before the pandemic happened, was super, super weird. But no, I think that's what makes this movie so set aside from other sort of more shallow action films. I think that it's got a lot of depth and heart to it.
Know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money.
And Nora, Zack Snyder is a great director. He's a genius directing action. The casino sequence, for example, with Lily, Scott, and Mikey is amazing, it's brutal. But do you have a favorite action sequence or a moment that is special for you in this film?
Yeah, towards the end of the movie, there's I don't want to spoil the story, but there are a lot of like amazing sequence, and we had to train for weeks before holding weapons, so that was really exciting. But yeah, there's actually a really, really amazing action sequence that you guys are gonna discover soon, and it's very exciting.
I always loved teaming up with Omari. He's a great guy. And to be honest, I was like, you know, we all been like super. He doesn't know that, but everyone was like, you know, we love Power. He's so cool. We love him so much. He's great. So everyone was like super excited. So, and I thought, and especially the work with Omari through the whole film was so intense and so funny that, you know, it reminded me on the old days of Danny Glover and
Mel Gibson.
Yeah, and Mel Gibson. What was the Lethal Weapon? And I always dreamt of it, you know, like that Omari and me, maybe we could team up like big alphas. Maybe he's Alpha 1 and I'm Alpha 3. 4.
Who would be Alpha 2, Matthias? Who would we make Alpha 2?
Alpha 2, to be honest, would be Nora Arnezeder. I have to say that would be really funny.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but but I loved Omari, and to work with him, it was so cool. I was so proud, you know, like every day. It's Omari, Hardwick, oh my God. And he's an alpha.
That's heavy, brother. But I dig it.
Zack, you are a genius directing action, and it's great that after a decade involved in the superhero genre, you're back with the zombies and with an original story and the possibility to see an entire horror cinematic universe. So is that possible? Because that will be amazing to see another film with all these concepts and these kind of characters.
It absolutely is possible. The movie has a cliffhanger ending. It's not like, we know where we are at the end. And, of course, I'm going to knock on this wood here. But if there was ever an opportunity, if in success or if audiences wanted it, yeah, I would love to make another. I had such a great time making the movie, and I loved working I was working with a lot of the guys I work with on a lot of movies, but we made it with a really small crew, the movie. I wanted it to feel really intimate and kind of, small, even though it's a giant universe. And so it's really just fun to make a movie that way. I operate the camera a lot, and it's just a really fun to do.
So that's all, Zack. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for this movie. I really enjoyed this movie, so thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you.
For me.